But the question is, what
accomplished?
Yeah, at what stage? When do we say, oh, already from putting the water in, you're already started, you're already mixed? It's already a problem. It's already chai.
Not what mixed, but it's already mixed. It's what
so he says, Divri Rabbi.
When you put water on bran, it's not mixed.
It's not mixed. And bran actually is even more not mixed than flour.
Right. It's coarser.
And exactly, it's not really ever going to become a dough.
Soulless. It's not soulless.
The Gemara is going to discuss, and the Gemara is going to make a difference between these two things.
What's soulless mean?
Soulless is flour. It's a refined flour.
But the bran is not even kama. It's just going to get wet. The flour already gets like it starts to things happen chemically once you put the water. That's you have chametz, 18 minutes. But bran is not kama.
Yeah. So this is actually the Gemara is going to discuss right now.
So you're just talking about bran alone without.
We're talking about two cases. There's a case in the Mishnah is talking about bran and water. Now we're talking about flour and water, right? We want to say that our Mishnah is like Rabbi Yisrael Yehuda. Like we see right now that Rabbi Yisrael Yehuda says, you're only chayiv when you're mixing flour and water. You're not chayiv for putting in the water, but you have to actually mix it together. Why Dilma? Okay. So therefore, So the Gemara is discussing about Melach's Losh, and saying that Losh, we have two opinions on what's Losh. We have Rabbi and we have Rabbi Yisrael Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi says that the fact of pouring water into flour, that's already aser. It's not only aser, it's chayiv. The Raisa. According to the Yisi Ber Yehuda, he says only when you mix, then you're chayiv for Losh. Okay, so that's clear. Now, in our Mishnah, we discussed a different case. A case not of flour and water, but a case of bran and water. You're making food for animals. And like Rabbi Musk said, that there's a difference between flour water and bran and water, because when you mix flour and water, we know we make dough. But when you mix bran and water, you can make some mix over there, but it doesn't really become a dough. The Losh in the Gemara says not bar gibul. It's not something which really becomes one thing. So in our Mishnah says that you could put water in it, but you can't mix it. So who is the Tana who holds this? So we say right away, this can't be the opinion of Rabbi, because Rabbi said you're chayiv already for putting the water in the bran, in the flour. So right now we're looking at it as the same thing. So it must be that it's Rabbi Yisrael Yehuda, who he says that only when you mix it, megabel, so then you're going to be chayiv. So that's why in the Mishnah it says only when you mix the bran, so then you're going to be chayiv. So seemingly this is Rabbi Yisrael Yehuda. Fine. So the Gemara says, but maybe you could say that there's a difference. If you're able to make it into dough, so then Rabbi Yisrael Yehuda says, in order to be chayiv, you have to make it into a dough. But in the case of bran, which you cannot, it's impossible to really make it into a dough. So then, could be the Rabbi Yisrael Yehuda is also going to agree that even putting the water would be us. That's what the Gemara to say right now. So he says, Dilma. The lines finishes at kan. Dilma at kan. It's 5 lines on the bottom. So the Gemara says Dilma maybe at kan. Like Rabbi Yisrael Yehuda. When did Rabbi Yisrael Yehuda say that mixing your chayiv only when you mix? That's only hasam, which means by the dough, by alakemach, flour, the bar gibul, was able to make it into a dough. Avamurus and lavki bar gibul, but bran, which is not something which is a mix. I feel that Rabbi Yisrael Yehuda made it. Even Rabbi Yisrael Yehuda will also agree that once you put it ready, starting from the water, it's already a problem.
According to Rabbi Yisrael Yehuda, water and What is it called?
Bran. Mursa.
Bran?
Yeah.
Mursa? It's a dough.
So
That's what the more came up.
the Gemara is saying that maybe at this point of the Gemara, I want to say that maybe according to Beis Yehuda, since it's impossible to really become a dough,
Just
so
by
maybe
putting the
just by
water,
putting the
you make
water, it's already a problem of Losh. The Gemara says you don't say such a
It's
thing.
like crooked state. It's like a crooked sword. It's like
Now, in other words, by such a thing, that's already called leash, because there is no other leash.
But they-
I don't know, McKenna says.
Oh,
you
and that
can't
goes.
perform leash on something that's not capable of having leash.
So you can't make,
How did you make leash on something that can't be?
you cannot make fried egg if you don't have something hot, right?
Ah,
So you can. That's
It's like saying right, like because there's no fire under the thing, so you made an egg what are you talking about? There's no.
you didn't make
Right,
fire.
okay, you're right.
He's asking a very, very good question, and
You're
this is
right.
big maflek to Shane what he's asking, because the question's really because the questions on Rebbe, we're going to say the Gemara is always going. We're going to see in the Brisa right now. Let's read the Brisa, and we'll see that this question he's asking is going to still remain. Right now, it's asking on Rabbi Yehuda, but and the Maskana, the question is going to be on Rebbe. He says. Don't say this. A Tanya behedya, we say clearly, you cannot. There's a clear brisa. The brisa clearly brings the machlekes that concerning mursan about bran. That's according to the Rabbi Yehuda, you cannot put. I'm sorry. According to Rebbe, you cannot put water into mursan. But according to the Rabbi Yehuda, you could put water into mursan. So basically, let's just make this clear before we get into this question, which Amos is asking. That yeah. So there's the neistim mayim lemursa is according to the Yehuda, there's Losh is the same thing for bran and for flour, same exact thing. Yeah, you have to mix it in order for it to be a problem.
Okay.
But putting the water is not a problem.
Not like Rabbi.
Not like Rebbe. Rebbe says that putting water into the bran or the flour is already a problem. Now the question which we had over here is according to Rebbe, if it's impossible to mix bran, so how could you say that there should be a problem of putting water into it? So really, you could this question. So really, you could say first of all, according to the BC, that the question is really what is the definition of lush according to Rebbe? What is the definition of lush? It seems to be saying that the water coming into the flour is a problem already, right? So therefore, he doesn't care what's going to be later. Doesn't care what's going to be later.
If you mix it or not, you mix it.
But it's not so simple because also according to Rabbi Yehuda, we're soon going to see that he also says that although he says that you're allowed to put water into the bran, but the question is how come he says that you're not allowed to mix it? What are you doing when you're mixing it? It's not really mixing.
Can I just say something? You have to do a full Melacha anyway. If no one serves their behemoth water on top of bran, it's not a Melacha. No one brings the behemoth water and bran, so the behemoth's not going to eat it. You have to mix it in order for it even to be edible for the behemoth. I'm asking just
so
the science of
the MS, the difference between chickens. The Mishnah is talking about chickens. Chickens,
they'll eat it with the water.
But because when they peck around, they mix it themselves.
So they say that's considered Gemar Melacha for chickens.
Yeah, but cattle, we're going to see, might be different. But really, the question.
So they're saying that's the force. If you would bring bran meal to a chicken coop, that's all the Melacha you need to do.
Yeah.
You don't need to put water.
You need to put water, but you don't have to mix it. They'll do it.
For chicken. And if you put this, they're not going to eat it.
No,
just the bran in the water.
Yeah. But they can eat it.
I guess they usually.
And chanami, but it's more geschmack when it's water in the bran.
And if you give it to a cow,
So cow, they don't peck around. They don't mix it. They want.
They're very picky, the cows.
Yeah.
I just saw a few.
Yeah.
Very picky.
They eat everything.
What?
They eat everything.
No.
Chalif, and the question is according to Rabbi says that you're not letting
When
mix.
is the melacha? When is the melacha? Is called melacha? When you put it together or when you mix it?
So Rabbi says when you mix it, right?
Right.
So the question is by bran, it's not possible to mix. So what's the problem?
In other words, if you mix it, you didn't do anything.
What do you do?
Because you did not mix.
If the putting in the water wasn't the problem,
Didn't change.
so it
What's the
didn't.
second step?
Yeah, the bran just got wet. That's all. It didn't change.
So this is machlekes yeah. So this is machlekes v'sheinim. So the Rambam holds that it's only midrabanan. There's no problem of Losh according to Yisib and Yehuda by mercy. The problem is because you might come to mix in flour and water, in something which does mix.
It's like excitement.
It's exeda.
Oh, you might think since you're putting bran in,
Exactly. So you might come to do it.
You might think it's okay.
Others, there's places.
Sorry, when we learn Losh in the Lamed of Melacha, right?
Yeah.
Every Melacha that we learn was done in the desert, right? In the
Yeah.
Mishkan.
Yeah.
Which Melacha Losh they did in the desert?
No, they didn't do it in the Mishkan Losh.
What
Menachos,
Everything.
What they did?
Menach is everything. What do you mean? Everything.
Also colors. They used to mix the colors.
Oh, yeah, is a different discussion. That's in Yudches. That is the Gemara in Yudches, which discusses about ink. That ink. So the Gemara wants to say over there that ink is aser, is chayiv, but it says it's also lav bar gibel. It wants to say it also doesn't really mix. And so over there, there's a Taisvis which argues with the Rambam, which we said. The Rambam over here says that that you mix something which is impossible to really mix is only the Rabbanon. It's like you might come to use in something which is
flour and water.
Flour. But Taisvis says that Mursan, it is a little bit possible to mix. It doesn't. There's different levels. Things which are totally impossible to mix, they don't really mix at all. Some things mix a little bit, and things mix totally. Taisus wants to say that Mursan doesn't mix entirely, but a little bit it does.
But that's a little bit, that's what the Melacha.
Right. So that's the machlekes. Okay, we're going to get all this in the Geil Halacha to know these differences. Everything's going to come to Lamaisa. It's very important, and very interestingly, both opinions are very in the Geil Lamaisa. It's important to know Rabbi and Yisib Yehuda.
If you ever listen to Raisa or Yisib,
but although we're going to see, we're going to task him like Rabbi Yisib Yehuda, but we're machmer b'poyel like Rabbi, which means certain situations we can rely on we can rely on Yisib Yehuda, but b'poyel we're machmer l'chatchila like Rabbi.
By flour and water, the Gemara says if somebody put the flour. And second guy came and put the water in the flour, the second one is chayav. And Rabbi, the opposite, the first guy put this the water.
Obviously, he didn't do anything with the water. But it's actually a very good question.
The second guy came and put the flour in the water.
It's actually a very good question. And I think it's beyond the scope of the share right now. It's Vadigli Talbasir, which he's a big Yisayid in Losh. Everywhere you go, everyone's going to quote him. We're going to look, I made copies of him about the sort of Stricklands connected to it. But it's arichus, but we're asking good shaila.
So the same thing would be with this...
First, let's get to Yisayidus, the foundation, then maybe we can explain that better. Okay, Tana Rabbanon. Let's go right to the last line. The Braisa says, "In Geilim as Kali." What's Kali? Kali is like he says in Rashi, the last Rashi. Kali kemach shel tvua. It's flour of grain, of wheat. Shein is yapshak shein kloyis v'tana. They dried out while there's still kernels in the oven. V'eisei kemach la'elam masuk. It's always sweet. And what do they do with this flour? They made something called shasisa. Mishem from oil, mayim, water, melach, and salt. And we're going to see in the Gemara they also put vinegar also in. So they make this mixture over here.
Something kind of bread.
Oh, so kali. Usually, how you make flour is you crush it up. You crush up the kernel and you make it into flour, right?
You dry it first.
Oh, but you don't put it in the oven first. Oven is like cooking it, baking it.
That's the second step.
That you do after. You take the flour, you make it into dough, and then you bake it, right? Kali is like granola. What is it?
Yeah.
Like
Granola.
it's like when you
like sweet wheat germ.
Yeah, something. So before you already dry it out, before you make it into the flour, you already like baked it sort of, and then you make it into flour.
It's like grain sushi. Like fish, they do before they cook. This is like a joke with it. It's like raw flour. You never add it. We don't add any water to it.
I can take a wheat and eat it like that.
Right, but it's not going to be tasty. Here they fry it or they bake it and add sugar to it, so then it's kshma.
Oh, so he said, what's?
I'm asking because I want to know when did it start the mixing? When did it start the Losh over there?
So Losh, we're gonna talk about soon about mixing the flour. There's a flour you make it, and then you mix it with the oil, with the water, and with the vinegar. That's the second step, and that's where the Losh is. But Kali is similar to Mursim. That Kali is something which does not really mix. Okay, Kali is also la bar gibulu. It's also something which doesn't really mix. Okay, it's important to realize. So we have the first opinion which says, Ein gevul masakali. You're not allowed to mix the kali. V'yei shemnim. Some people say you could mix it. Now who are these two opinions? Let's say about Mursim. Let's apply the same thing about bran. We had a machlekes. So Rabbi says that. So Rabbi said that Mursim, you can't even put the water there. Right? And Yehuda said that's
you're allowed to put water in it.
You're allowed to put the water in it. So he says over here we have machlekes if you're allowed to mix it. Now we're talking about mixing. So Mani Shim, I'm going to turn the page, go from Baba Manat on the side. Why? Why do we have to say it's a Kol Yisib Yehuda? Because according this you say you can mix it. Because according to Rabbi says you're not allowed to even put the water into it. Nothing to talk about. So how could you come to even start mixing it?
That's the second step.
As a second step, you can't even start. So how can he say you're allowed to be gevul? How can he say you're allowed to mix it? So it must be according to Yisib Yehuda who says you could put it in the water. But according to Yisib Yehuda, how could you mix it? If Yisib Yehuda says you're not allowed to mix Mursim, you're not allowed to mix something which doesn't mix together well.
Maybe this is different.
Why?
Because this is already in its cooked state.
But then you...
It's not a normal achila.
Yeah, but they would eat it. She sees what the geschmack is at.
What were they adding to it? Just more water?
Three things. There was
Shemen, mayim, Melacha.
and also famous, we're going to see vinegar. So, but
it's not a gibel. It's like gibel is when there's two things that become
it's not gibel. It's not going to gibel.
Yeah.
It's not something that's a gibel.
Yeah.
So
Shemen, mayim,
so you're not chayiv.
No, because you're not. Each thing is still recognizably different after you mix it.
Sure. So, but Itaka can mix it, but it's similar to Mursim. Mursim also you can't really mix. So if the Yisib Yehuda says you can't mix Mursim, so also here you shouldn't be able to mix.
It's a little different.
So what's that? We said that it's according to the Ram. Let's just to make it easier, go according to the Ram. The Ram says that something which is impossible to mix is only the Rabbanan. Okay? So according to the Yisib Yehuda, he's going to say, since it's the Rabbanan, we're going to say if you make a shinoi, the Gemara is going to say, we didn't say that yet, if you make a change, don't do it the normal way, so then it's going to be fine.
If the Rabbanan we allowed to?
Since it's something that Rabbanan, if you make a shin, if you make a big change, don't do it the normal way, so then it's going to be fine.
But Zoe, you can't put salad, you can't make a salad. Put in a little oil and a little sugar in a salad, you can't make a salad.
So this is what we want to get to. I want to discuss these practical cases. The story of salad.
It's like this. This is the same thing.
The discussion about salad, I think, what I think the place can say or play all is since it's big pieces. So there's a difference between small pieces and big pieces.
Oh.
These are like we said. The Rambam was worried that Gzeda you might come to do it with flour. So it has to be something small and like powder, like a powder. We're going to talk about. You can talk about baby powder. You can talk about making. Pudding powder, you make pudding out of powder. A lot of things, there's a lot of shallows, tuna, mayonnaise, and everything. All these, there's a lot of things which it's not very known. This Melacha, Losh is very vague, and people don't know about this. We have to first understand the Yisayis. So he says, "Zakti Gemara, the Bahani Mili, the top line, Bahani Milu the Mishani. You have to change it. You have to do a change when you're mixing this this kali, this granola, you're mixing it, so you have to do a change. What's the change you have to do? What's the mean al yad? Which means you do little by little. Because usually they do a mass production. But if you do it little by little, and that's not the normal way, so then you're allowed to do it on Shabbos. Right? Okay, now the Gemara continues with Shavim. Shavim means that both Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi both agree. Now watch, a beichshin means you use a spoon to mix. Mixing with a spoon is the same thing like mixing with your hands. Beichshin is hashasis. Shasis is what we were discussing a second before. This case of this mixture. The Shabbos on Shabbos, you could mix it. Okay, let's stop right here. What do you mean? That everyone agrees that you can mix it?
No, you can.
That's only according to who? According to Rabbi Yehuda. But according to Rabbi, now that I mix it, so he says the Gemara also has a little thing. But it's not negative. Shesim zeisim mitzvah. You drink that has to do with the fura. That's a shaila about drinking something for the fura. The Amrit, didn't you say? Ain't gave lim that you can mix it according to Rabbi. Like kasha haba habarat. The Gemara says according to Rabbi, when does Rabbi say that you're not allowed to mix? You're not allowed to mix kali and water and oil and all these things. And specifically when is if it's a very thick mixture. So this is a very important. Every part of this Gemara is negel halacha. So if you make a thick mixture, but if you make a liquidy mixture, so then it's not a problem. Okay, it's very negate. We're going to see that certain. So let's say you have a certain, let's say, formula, which doesn't melt right away or something.
You have to mix it in a.
So you have to make sure there's going to be certain cases when you're mixing that you're going to have to put a lot of juice versus a small amount of.
It's not a normal thing.
So this actually could be that could be a little normal, but the reason why has nothing to do with not being normal. Because lush is something which is thick.
Only thick.
What's regular lush? Dough
and water.
Right, is water and flour comes dough.
I mean water and flour.
Dough becomes a thick thing comes out of it, a thick mixture. So this is not real lush. This is not real lush if it's so liquidy. Okay, so now we're getting more clear a little bit.
What is lush?
What is lush? The lush can't. So we're saying a lot of things over here. We're saying that we have a question. We have two opinions. Is lush liquids mixing to just the fact pouring liquid into the flour, or is it actually have to mix it? Then we're saying that there's a difference.
If you mix it, does that be thick? Is it thick?
Oh, it has to be thick or liquidy. And we're saying there's a difference. There could be a difference between something which could, which is mixable, bar gibel, or not mixable. Okay, and now the Gemara doesn't stop over here. The Gemara says that it's not enough just that it's liquidy, according to Rabbi, but also you have to do another difference. You have to do another change. Amr Yisef. So Vahani Mili, 5 lines from the top. Vahani Mili hu the mashani. Even when it's liquid, you have to make a change. Heichi mashani, how do you change it? Amr Yisef b'cheil during the weekday, and Nesim v'chemis during the weekday you put first the vinegar. See over here you add also vinegar, not just what Rashi said. If you add the vinegar v'achar Nesim hashasis, and then afterwards you put in the shasis, which means in the keli. First you pour in the vinegar, and then you pour the shasis. For Shabbos, on Shabbos, you should change it around and first put in the chemetz, first put in the shas, and then afterwards the chemetz.
Like the shas is the stuff mixed already, the kali mixed like with the oil, it's not the kali dry.
It's the way it's dry. Is the way it is dry. Because if it's already, maybe in different place means something else, but if it's already mixed with the water, so it's already mixed, you're not really accomplishing anything new in the lush, story, and that's a big difference. A very, very good point what he's bringing out, because it's going to be negel halacha, because if it's already mixed with liquid or something, so then on Shabbos it's not a problem to add more.
You don't lush and lush.
There's no lush after lush, like a bishul after bishul, no lush after lush.
So here they're just saying to take the vinegar,
Pause.
Wait, and Shabbos, wait, put first the shassis and Shabbos, and then the vinegar.
Right, if that's the normal way during the week. But this is only if it's liquidy, and this is only according to Rabbi.
Wait a second. You're saying that
No, the
you have a
week
tuna
follows
fish.
niceness of chametz first.
If during the week you put the chametz, so then you do the opposite on Shabbos. Whatever the normal way, whatever the normal way. So we have to have in mind the idea, the concept, because this is one example. So we're gonna have to, when it comes to halacha, we're gonna have to apply it to many cases. So we have to see that what is the norm during the week. What do you first put in the liquid and then the solid, or the solid and liquid, and you do the opposite of that.
But the question is you're saying the shassis is the dry kali?
Because or else what are you accomplishing?
It's because maybe it's a chiddush that just by putting the vinegar last, you can do it. You know,
Right, but what's the problem? But what's the problem in the first place? It's already mixed with liquid and it's already a mixture.
And that you did before Shabbos?
You did that before Shabbos.
Oh, okay, I didn't read it. All right.
Fine, sagt er maar weiter, Levi breder Rav Huna bar Chia, Levi the son of Rav Huna bar Chia, Ashkech legav ben Nasha. They used to have a lot of animals. I'm saying, farmers still have it. So everyone used to have animals. So Rav Huna bar Chia had a person who used to make fodder, who used to make food for the animals. So his son Levi found him making the kargavil v'safali l'turit. He saw him making this food for the animals. And he's giving it on Shabbos and giving it to. What was he doing? He was taking mursa, animal food, right? And he was mixing it, right? So and he was giving it to the animals. Batishbei, he gave him a kick. He took it very serious. He gave him a kick. So Asavua, so his father came running. And he found him, but you're wrong for giving him a kick. This is what the father of your mother said. Mishmei the Rav in the name of Rav. Who is his grandfather? Rav Yirmeh bar Rav. He said in the name of Rav. You gave him masapim. We can mix. But you can't. Masapim. He means to pour. This is to put it down his throat. They're force feeding it. Is to put it down. You can't put it all the way down the throat to a place where they can't bring it up again, the food.
What, you do it to the animals?
They would put the food down, they would put it down the throat.
For what?
They wanted them to eat it, so they put it down their throats.
So the animals must eat it?
Must eat it. Or the Melacha a calf, something young, which doesn't know how to eat yet. So then you can put it in a place where in a normal animal, adult animal, it would be able to put it back. It would spit it up. But since it's a calf, it can't spit it up. But you're allowed to do it for him. Fine. That's a side point. Let's not get into that.
Why did he kick him?
He kicked him because he saw he was mixing the food on Shabbos and giving the animal. That you're not allowed to do. So he says, so his father came running and says, why are you kicking him? Your grandfather said in the name of Rav that you're allowed to do it. But as long as you make a change, like we said before, how do you change it? If you do it little by little. So over here it says a different change. Why does it here say so here it's a Shesi Vediv. Why does it here say a different change? Over here it says, what do you do? Shesi Vediv means back, cross, which you can't go around. Usually when you mix something, you go around the bowl. You mix and mix and mix all the way around. Over here, you could only go one way, the other way. Now, does that mix well? Obviously not. So the Gemara says, that doesn't mix well. So Yehuda, you could pour it into another keli back and forth and mix it in the same thing. Which let's just have in mind for now for practical in the future. Means let's say mixing a bottle, shaking a bottle, or shaking around the whole thing, pouring it into another thing. So that way you can mix it well. Why can't you do it little by little? Didn't we say that you could do it little by little? If it's thick, even though it's thick, if something which is impossible to mix, allowed to do it little by little. So what did he say? So
We actually do it. I'm sorry, we actually do it. No, you have a baby, right? You put powder in the bottle.
formula.
Then you took hot water and you put
Okay,
it
we're gonna say
inside.
formula is another heter. We're gonna get to it.
Right?
Formula.
And what you do, you shake it.
Shake it.
Remember correct? That's
Right.
how you feed the baby.
Right, but MS is the formula is different. We're gonna see soon.
You dash. You lash.
We're gonna see soon because formula
It was already cooked.
becomes dissolved right away.
It wasn't not only that, it was already baked. The formula was already.
Oh, you're very good. This is another discussion which we're gonna have to get to. If something was already cooked and
It
baked,
was already cooked and baked,
so
you
then
don't do
it
nothing.
might also be hot. Okay, we have to get to. We're gonna get to the
It
practical.
looks like
should've.
water and flour, but it's
Yeah.
not.
Fine. So the question is, what's the difference between the mixing of the?
It's not mixing well.
So why can't you mix little by little and mix it normally? Just do it little by little. It's because when it's done for a person, so then we'll allow them to do.
Slowly.
Because the whole thing is that abundant, something which is impossible to really mix.
Right.
So for a person, you could do it slowly. But when it comes to for animal, so then you could do it
First,
shesidated. Now the question
this
is,
is also not mixed.
which means back and forth, or shake it in the bottle
But it's
itself.
not mixed.
It's a shino.
Sorry?
Or it's not mixed.
No, afterwards, if you mix it very well, then you could mix it that way. But it's not mixing with it's a shinny. Yeah, it's a shinny.
But where it said that if you do it with the shino, you're allowed to.
Well, since we're talking about something that abundant, something with some mursum, something which is impossible to
So it's not going to mix. Even if you do shiva, it's not going to mix.
find. Whatever is called mixing for it, which means you can have things, two separate things, you can have it mixed, right?
But it's not mix.
Right, not mixed.
Enough said.
Again, it's not a lash. It's not a lash.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
mixing, but it's not a lash.
Yeah.
The whole together said you shouldn't come to do lush.
You should not.
That's why we're right.
So
That's
if
what-
it's such
but
a
if you
thing-
do a drabon, you gotta do a shino on the shinos.
You don't know nothing. It's like you have to think two
And you
separate
won't do
things.
lush. Exactly.
Ah.
You have to separate things. It's mixed, but it's
Yeah,
two
but you're
separate.
still accomplishing what you would have done if you had poured in the water. But you're not allowed to do that. Why are you allowed to do a shino? Because it's a shnus.
It's the one.
The rabban,
And the second one
is the rabban.
is also.
Both the two rabbanon you're allowed to do.
In this case, Chacham said that if you do our thing, which is the Rabbanan, with a shinny, so then it's okay.
You're not going to come to do water and flour.
Right.
Exactly.
How come? What's the question? How come by the we don't allow this for the chickens? When we said about the mursum, we said that
Because that's dark.
You said
because this is dark.
they will mix it.
Because anyhow they're going to peck it themselves, they're going to mix it themselves. So we're not going to allow the abundance. So we're not going to allow you to do that, since you're not allowed you to mix it because they'll do it themselves.
This will make you to go water and flour.
Right. So which means it depends. So if it's for chickens, so we just allow you to pour the water, but we don't let you mix it because they can do it themselves. If it's for cattle, so then we're going to say if you mix it shesi to 8 and then you shake it, then you're allowed to. If it's for an animal, for a person, so then we're going to allow you even to mix it, but you have to do it little by little, right? But if let's say it's liquidy, so then it's not. Then if you do one before. Now another question. We said that when it's liquidy, then you could switch it around. Put the vinegar after, so then it's okay.
Right.
So why can't we do that regularly, even if it's thick? Why? That's a shinny. Why can we use that shinny also there? Right, so we have many different shinnuyim. We're saying how come one will only use one case, not another case. So because it's not such a big shinny. Because just the fact you're putting one is not a major shinny. But if you're mixing, so since it's only something which is liquidy, in a case where it's liquid, it's mamish no losh. So then we'll allow just a little shinny. But if it's a thick one, so then we're not going to allow it. Okay. Back to Gemara weiter, the wide lines. Kasser in Kasser de Zidi, and in the notebook of Zidi, it was written, they found, and it's written, Amnis Kadam Rabbi, he said in front of his teacher, my Rabbi. Umanu Rabbi Chia means Rabbi Chia, Ma'u Lagabo, could you mix? So it's Amar Aser, he says it's Aser. It's Aser to mix. He says that it's talking about it's talking about shesisa. So it says also. Now lefarik, amar mutter. Lefarik is a different discussion about tirchum. Amar Menashe is also tirchum. Let's go to the next dot. Skip 2 lines. Katzap in Katzap Levi on the notebook of Levi was written. Amar is kadam Rabbi. Amar Rabbi Narkadesh. Adahavu gavlin shesisa. I told them that in Bavel they mixed shesisa. Now what Savach Rabbi. Rabbi was screaming. Manu, who's Rabbi? Rabbi Nakadosh. Adavagadosh Sisa. Why? Because Rabbi holds. Remember, Rabbi was the one who held that you're not allowed to mix shisisa. Rabbi says that you're not allowed to pour even the water into the shisisa. You're not allowed to make the shisisa. Right? He holds that. So he was screaming because his opinion is you're not allowed to do this. The lace is shmile, but nobody listened to him. The lace, the chayla biyad, he didn't have the strength to answer it while the maser. He wasn't able to make it prohibited. But Rabbi Yisib Yehuda, because Rabbi Yisib Yehuda argued with him. Right? Yisib Yehuda argued, so therefore he couldn't. The Gemara is going to learn out. So it's going to be machlekes rishonim who the halacha is like Rabbi or like Yisib Yehuda. Right. So most people are going to say like Yisib Yehuda. That's why you give me the ikar halacha. We're going to also have to be machlek like Rabbi. Now the rest of the Gemara over here has nothing to do. That's the famous Gemara about what day you're born on. If you want to look it up later, and Vav Menal, it's an interesting Gemara. Nothing to do with Losh, but what type of person you are. Okay, here's sheets on Igor Tal.
Yeah. Thing. It said they found a picture in the number of Ziri.
Yeah.
Amos Kami Rabbi Man Reb Chia, and he said it's us. It wasn't didn't Reb Chia was the one who gave him the kick because he said that
Levi gave it. Pass it to the.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so in Sif Yud Zayin, on the bottom of the page, on the first column, on the bottom of the page, the last line.
Oh, right. So us, Avua, Ashkekai says, why you kicked them? You said the son its mother. So that was figure, right? Because
Levi's the one who gave him a kick. Okay. Yeah. Levi's father came running to Levi and told him that why do you kick him? Okay, in the last line. Okay, we'll start at the top. I will Rabbi the first by the dot. The top line of the second column. Rabbi, according to Rabbi, we wrote in Asa Gimel the day. According to Rabbi, Melacha, what is the Melacha of Losh? He mishum harkava is the connecting, putting together. Shemarkiv hakemach v'hamayim. You're mixing the flour and the water together. Not I'm saying just connecting them. V'harkava nasa b'hamayim. Shehurka b'hakemach. K'mei b'hakemach. Shehurka b'hamayim. There's no difference between the flour or the water. The Melacha is in both of them. Doesn't matter which one goes first. It doesn't make a difference which one goes first. He's really discussing a point beforehand. But the point is that he wants to say that the Melacha is just pouring the water, connecting them, pouring the water into...
Not mixing it.
But even before mixing it, into the flour. The Bishlam, Rabbi Yisib Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yisib Yehuda, Deina Melacha Raksham Agabel. What is a Melacha? What is that you're mixing, you're kneading it, you're mixing it. V'nasa guf echad. According to Rabbi Yisib Yehuda, the Melacha is that it becomes one guf, one body. That doesn't happen by pouring the water in. They're two separate, but they're connected. Harkava, you're connecting the two. So that's connected really to the flour. The Melacha is really the flour, because what happened in flour is each piece of the flour is separate from the other one. They're dry and before the water. So the Melacha is the flour coming together. Every piece of flour is separate. The water was one. The water is one existence, one being. There was always one being. So what is the Melacha of Losh according to Rabbi Yisib Yehuda? Is the flour all coming together, coming into one guf? That's what it means. According to Rabbi, the Melacha of Losh is what is just the connection between the water and the flour. So that is equal in the water and the flour, that both of them come together. they don't have to necessarily become into one body, but the fact, but just connecting. So therefore, he says it's your chayiv just for pouring the water into the flour. Hashenkin, according to B'Yisa Yehuda, he says that the Melacha is that the flour is becoming one, and that happens when you pour the water in. So it's not yet totally mixed. It doesn't totally become. The flour is still floating around. The flour didn't all come together just because you poured the water. When you mix it, so then it becomes all together into one metzias.
So he's saying the Isra is not pouring, the Isra is mixing.
Ah, pouring, mixing. Now let's see further, and he's going to say a very interesting thing. Now this is very important also. Very important point.
Doesn't it get approved and absorbed into all mix?
Okay, but it doesn't really become one thing. But after the Mashi B'Yarnim Sivkat and Beis, and Sivkat and Beis, earlier the Golital said that the B'Yisa Yehuda ein chiyuv b'piruzeh rak b'shneiim yachad harkava o shenasa gufachet. The B'Yisa Yehuda, a very important point there. The B'Yisa Yehuda doesn't seemingly right now we're saying that he says, oh, there's not a problem pouring the water in. The problem is only the flour coming together. He had proved before, the Golital proved before, that pouring the water in is also a problem according to the B'Yisa Yehuda.
But the first step is a flush.
But why? Because it's the first step of Losh. That's the difference. And he brought it from the Alter Rebbe, saying the earlier point he showed the Alter Rebbe, like the Golital quotes the Rebbe, it's going to Chassidisha, the Sachet Shabbat, yeah? He says, and also in the Shulchan Aruch Harav Miliadi, Kasav, and he's Medaik in the Lashon. And he shows that B'Yisa Yehuda says that in order to be chayiv, you need to have both steps. You need to have pouring the water and becoming mixing it. So l'chura, this doesn't fit with what he just said. He just said that mixing, that what's the Melacha of Losh is that the flour is coming together. So why does he need? Why is also pouring the water also part of the Melacha? That's his question right now. Sure, it's only chayiv, only if he puts in the water and mixing it. Sheshneim also b'Shabbos, that he did both of them on Shabbos. So that's already by pouring the water. Nevertheless, since there's no chiyuv, only when you have both together, which means both on Shabbos you poured the water into it and you mixed it. So until you actually did both, there's no Melacha at all. There's no Melacha at all, which means it's interesting. On one hand, so only once you did both, there's a Melacha. If you only did one, so you don't have the Melacha. I'm going to bring an example. And we're still looking just at the flour, that the flour got a connection to the water. But it's the first part of the process, like you said. He looks, that B'Yisa Yehuda says there's the goal and there's the way to the goal. But you need the way to the goal in order to get to the goal. The goal is that you should mix it, the flour should become one thing. But part of the Melacha is the way to get there. The way to get there is starting off by pouring the water in. And that's part of the Melacha. And if you're missing one of the parts, it doesn't work. Hashenkin, according to Rabbi says, no, there's no goal of making it into one thing. It's just the fact that you're pouring the water into the flour. That's the Melacha. It's a different Melacha. And he's going to give an example. He says, also at the beginning of Shabbos, so they know the famous thing that Deima Lakira Vanacha. Afsha Chiva Lanacha Shiv is a Chiv Smakar Tzarachlim. Come Rachsha Kira Tzedach Hanacha in the Chayim Rishas Shnei B'Shabbos. The halacha by Hitzah, in order to be chayiv for Hitzah and Shabbos, carrying an object from Rishus Hayach, Rishus Rabim, you need to have two things. Everyone knows you have to have an akira and you have to have anacha. Akira means you have to take it out from one Rishus, and you're placing it anacha into the other Rishus. Right? You need both things. And the beginning of the first Mishnah, right, says that let's say the person inside lifted it up already off the floor, and the person outside just taking it from him and putting and making only a nachas, so he's not chayiv, he's bater, right? So the same thing. Then what's the purpose? The point is, the goal is you want it to put it in Rishos Rabim, or the opposite, right? That's the goal. But the akira, which is the way to get there, is also important, is also part of Melacha. Without it, it's not a complete Melacha. So hachanami, so too over here, they kind of say, so too in our case, the harkavas hamayim bakemach would say the chagibul ba'dibuk, mixing the water with the flour is important for the gibul and dibuk, is for the goal of mixing it. So therefore, it's also part of Melacha. So Rabbi holds that it's the Melacha is what? It's just the fact that there's a connection already between the water and the flour. That's already the Melacha of Losh.
I was thinking maybe it's not, but when you put the water and flour together, right? And you want to separate, there's no way you can separate it.
Right.
That's it. It became one.
Whatever.
You could mix it more.
You can maybe sift it, but it's hard. Yeah.
But there's no way you could. That's a Mashenkin by what the Gemara said by the Osin or whoever, right? Even if I put the water and I want to take out the water and mix, it will be separated.
Right.
So
okay,
you see from here, you see from here that this is like a part to the Melacha or a Melacha.
Yeah. So let's make a sikkum. So just and I shall make a sikkum next time. So remember these things.
What is Losh?
So we have two opinions, Rabbi and Rabbi Yisi and Rabbi Yehuda. Yeah. Rabbi says that just pouring the water into the flour is already a problem. That's the definition of Losh. According to Rabbi Yisi and Rabbi Yehuda, he says that you mix it, that you have to actually mix it both. We just came to a conclusion, you have to have both. Pouring the water into the flour and mixing it. Which means if you did it out of Shabbos, according to him, pouring the water into the flour, and then you mix it, you're not chayim minatayla. But it's still also Isser midrabanan, right? Then we have according to Rabbi, which Rabbi says that pouring the water into the flour is already a problem, right? So he says that you're now let it mix also mursam, right? Even though it's impossible to mix it totally, but he says if it's very liquidy, so then is no Losh b'chlal, right? It's another important thing. It's not called Losh, but still we say you have to change it around. First put in the switcher, whichever's normal, change from the normal way, whenever you put a person. And according to Rabbi Yehuda, he says that if it's he says that even if it's thick, you still also have even if it's impossible to mix it, like kali and mursan and these type of things, it's still it's usser. But if you do it, if it's for a person, do it little by little, so it's not a problem. If it's for, let's say, an animal, so then if you do shesivedim or you shake it around, it's also not a problem. And then you have another case is by let's say chickens is b'chlal. He says you're not allowed to mix it together because they're able to do it by themselves anyhow. That's the Shem will be mamshich next time. Mamshich.
What we are going into Losh in our life, the Shabbos. Let's example.
So we have let's say pudding powder, right?
Pudding powder.
They make pudding. They make pudding from powder. You mix it with milk, whatever, and and it becomes into.
Liquid. They become like jelly.
It becomes like a pudding. We have to think. What about oatmeal? What about oatmeal?
Like you eat cereal milk.
Cereal milk. That's a shame. We're going to come to a lot of practical stuff. We're going to get to. Yeah, that's a shame.
Square.
Yeah.
We have to continue.
Yeah.
You're talking about dry cereal, like cornflakes, surely.
Yeah.
Yes, but the difference between oatmeal and cornflakes is that cornflakes is already